What is going on, beautiful? The corniness, love it. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host. What? It's like the head.
I'm like,
it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have the flabbergasted, the laughing, the beautiful galactic curly queen herself. Please introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka
The
Health Nerd. Here joining you on a beautiful Saturday evening.
Evening for sure. It's been a day, y'all. First of all, if somebody faints during this podcast, if somebody faints, it might be me, it might be her. You don't know. Just look out for us. All right, pray on it. But before we get into it, first off, shout out to Angel, who just favorited the podcast. Shout out to all the listeners out there. We get the feedback, we get the love. The random folks that we work with, our random friends giving us some love. So we appreciate it. We 61 episodes deep. It's been, what I'm saying? Out here doing it. Again, y'all have heard the name. Shout out to Jair, always holding us down in the background. But we're over almost 2 years in at this point. So we definitely appreciate y'all rocking with us. So the topic for the day.
What happened was
the topic for the day is managing stress, but more specifically, I'm probably gonna mess up the quote, but not to put you on blast, Queen, but the Queen was having a little bit of a difficult week about 2 weeks ago.
Week before last, yes.
Yeah, week before last. It was a little bit of a difficult week. We've all been there, right? We've all had those highs and lows. And what last week was a little bit of a low for the Queen. And I said something around the effect of what you do in the valleys will determine if you ever see another mountain, right? Because the valleys are low points in life, which we all find, and the mountain is those high points in life, which hopefully we all definitely experience at one point of our life. So we wanted to kind of talk about a few valleys that we've been in, but more importantly, how you can determine how you react to stress, how you react to being overwhelmed. That way you can crawl, climb, hike, scratch your way out of that valley. Does that sound good, Queen?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into the episode. I heard him, Queen. All right, welcome back, y'all. We're gonna dive right into it. First off, another reason why I want to do this episode now is because a lot of at least UC folks and even CSUs or semester college students, like they're graduating and you're starting to transition into life, right? A lot of students are applying for jobs, applying to grad school, and I feel like it's a transition time for a lot of college students. Also, I feel like adults usually find jobs during the summer too. I don't know why that is. Maybe because I'm in education, so it makes sense for me.
Yeah.
But it's a transition time. When you transition, you could come with a little bit of stress. So I think this is going to be a good time for our college students out there watching, or anyone who's trying to transition or actively transitioning from one stage to the next. You may be actively experiencing this valley. You may be actively experiencing this low. So we're going to first off give examples of valleys that we've been through and kind of how we've overcome those, and then we're going to get into like what is stress, how do you manage stress, and all that good stuff. Queen, I feel like I know the answer, but do you want to go first, or do you want to go second in an example of a valley or a stress? You want to go second?
Shocker.
Whoa This never happens. All right. So I'll go first, and there's a lot of valleys that I can go through. Thank you. Brush my shoulders off. Appreciate you. And feel free, if y'all are watching this live or on the replay, like y'all can definitely go ahead and put a valley you've been through and how you've overcame it. But myself graduating from college, I felt very stressed because this queen over here got like a job offer before she even graduated. I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah.
I made that a mission.
Yes, you did. Very, very well done. I'm sure you were very meticulous. You planned it out. You went to the fairs. You did all your good stuff. Me, maybe I didn't do what I could have done. But watching her have a job solidified, and back then we were just dating. So I was like, dang, how you gonna date somebody? She's a great grown out there, got a full-time engineering job, and you got no jobs. I was stressed. I went to this conference. Gosh, what was that name of the conference? But it was like a
Irrelevant.
yeah, irrelevant. It was a recreational conference. It was out there in Kissimmee, Florida, I believe. And at the conference, the point of going to there was to one get a job, right, priority. But then secondary priority was getting a scholarship to grad school. Now, I didn't tell the queen this at the time, and
No, he didn't.
I feel like I told this story to her, and she was
It
like,
makes me
"What?
mad every time.
What?"
Every time.
Listen, it's that pride. It's that pride, y'all. And I'm trying to tell this story because someone needs to hear it. Someone who may be going through something similar and they're too prideful to ask for help. First off, ask for help before I even get into the story. Ask for help while you're in that valley, right? But I went out there. I was broke. I had no money. I had money barely enough to get there, get a rental car, but I really didn't have money like that for food, really didn't have money like that for a hotel. So, long story short, during this conference, I slept in the car. Kissimmee, Florida, sleeping in the car 3, 4 days. Every morning, I would wake up at like 5 a.m. to go in, sneak into the hotel. And I don't know how I got into the hotel. Like either there was a door open, I just waited for someone to open the door, slid in through, had to go into the bathroom, did a little bird bath, brush my teeth, wash my face, put my clothes on, all that good stuff. Right. And I did the trick on putting water on your clothes and you let it dry. And then if you don't have an iron, you just, as the water evaporates, your clothes sometimes knock the wrinkles out. There you go. So a little free broke tip for you. Right, take it with you or buy an iron, do your thing. But basically every day, I had to do that. And I was still interviewing, still smiling, still like, let's get this job. Very stressful. And it hit me when, yeah, we made it. We here now. But it hit me when I was doing an interview with someone who I kind of knew, and they knew my direct supervisor. So in my eyes, I was like, they about to hook me up. I'm about to do this interview. I'm great at interviewing. They know me. This is a job. This is a slam dunk. They sat there, looked me in my eyes, and said, "We know you don't need this as bad as other people may need it."
Mm. Mm.
And I'm sitting here, I'm sleeping in a car, y'all. I'm waking up 5 a.m. to do bird baths in the hotel, and this person is on the other side of the table telling me, "You don't need this as bad as other people need it." Other people who are sleeping cozy in hotels, by the way, you don't need as bad as them. You're going to be okay. And I heard that. I still didn't quite believe it. I was still stressed out. Long story short, get back to Davis. Still no job. I'm with the mob over there in the TH4 house. Shout out to TH4. They let me stay there for like a month, maybe a month and a half, and then I finally landed my job. This is where I finally got the job working for UC Riverside Community Engagement Outreach. Dope job. And if I never got that job, I would have never worked Village Nation.
Mm.
If I would have never worked Village Nation, the idea to create Black Wall Street, the board game, never would have happened. Right? So just giving you an example, like where you're at right now. It may be very stressful. You may be sleeping out of a car. You may be missing some meals. You may be thinking, dang, why aren't these opportunities coming to me? And maybe it's because it's leading you towards a path that will be, if I would have got a recreational job, I feel like our life would not be anywhere near what we're doing right now.
Right.
So I would have went to grad school, right? Would have got a MBA or a master's in recreation, a master's in sports psychology, and I wouldn't have been doing anything I'm doing right now, and possibly wouldn't have made Black Wall Street the board game, which has, humbly changed some lives. It's impacted some families, and that impact may not have ever been felt if I would have just been given a job in recreation.
Yep.
All right. So that's my example. Again, take the lessons that you want out of that. But that man told me, he was like, other people need this more than you. And maybe he knew that I would do what it took
Right.
to make a position happen, to make prosperity come my way. So shout out to Seneca. I see you, Seneca. You know what I'm saying? You out there, you a motivational speaker out there doing your thing. Thanks, Seneca, for your words of wisdom. All right.
It's so interesting because it's like, yeah, they probably had no idea,
No idea.
like what would have happened. But the fact is that they were right.
Right.
It's crazy to think that even though you were sleeping in a car, they were still right because you just have that incredible ability to get things done and just like go all the way. But I feel like the average person maybe might fall a little short. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm obviously your biggest fan, so I'm a little bit biased.
That's
but
Queen. Fan club. You and only you.
False. I feel like it's much bigger than you think. Anyways.
First off, let me rewind. Everybody that I meet, immediately they're like, oh my gosh, I love your wife. Oh my gosh, the queen. Oh my gosh, what's the queen's name? I don't even know her name. I just call her the queen. She's so great. Everybody. All right, but Queen, give the folks your example, your value.
So I'm going to start by saying that I should have gone first. After that very powerful thing. Mine's not going to seem as stressful, but anyways. So this, the example that I have was actually for this property that we were going to get. And it was just the escrow process that we were going through.
This castle that we're in right now.
Correct. The escrow process.
It's not a huge castle for those who are listening and watching. It is our castle though.
It's like CJ in his 1-bedroom shack.
Exactly.
Shout out to Secrets to Success podcast
squad.
So when we had just gotten married. Well, I should first start off with our plan. We had this elaborate idea of we're going to get this property. We started the process early. We started the process in May. We started looking way before that, but we started the official process for this property in May because we wanted to be able to get married and then we wanted just the ideal like situation where you get married and then you move into your spot. So that is what we kind of planned. I'm ultimate planner. So I'm like, this is going to work. The timing, it was working out. It was honestly working out perfectly. It was. However, and what we wanted to do was we wanted to get married. We wanted to go on the honeymoon and then come back to move in. So everything was working out. But keep in mind that we were both first-time home buyers. So it was just a very new process altogether. Didn't really understand what this whole escrow, still don't really know what that means. It's just a black hole. But once we entered into escrow, we had a whole bunch of things that just delayed the process. So if you're unfamiliar with the home buying process, basically you make the offer, it gets accepted. Once it gets accepted and you pay the down payment, you then go into escrow. And escrow is where all of the things happen.
Where the magic happens.
I wish I could tell you what happens in escrow, but you come out and then you sign some papers and you got a property, basically. But escrow is supposed to take, I did all the research because that's my type of personality, right? It's supposed to take about 21 days to a month. And we just ours kept getting delayed. And it's just a very frustrating and stressful time because I'll get to why it was stressful in a second. But one of the reasons why it was stressful is because you don't know when it's going to end and you don't know what's happening during. And I don't know if that's the norm, but that was what was happening for us. So it's literally just like we wanted to close, we wanted to move into our spot. And we weren't able to do that. We didn't know why. We didn't know what the holdup was. It was just third-party stuff. And we didn't know when it was going to end. So it was just a limbo process. The reason that what made this extra stressful is because we had already planned and we had already ended our month-to-month lease on our apartment.
Right.
So we were now in the situation where we are going to essentially be homeless if we were not going to be able to get the property in time. So that was just very stressful because I was not sure how, and it ended up working out. But yeah, I was just stressing because, I'm thinking we have a month to month. We're not going to pay for another month. They might have somebody coming into the spot right after us. We don't know. So we're basically going to get kicked out and we're going to have to find someplace to live until this escrow process ends. It ended up working out because I went to talk to the landlord. I explained the situation. Honestly, the minute I mentioned escrow, she was like, say no more. I know how it goes. what we can do
Hecka
is
nice. She could have been a jerk
she
about it.
really
She
could have been a
really
jerk.
could have been a jerk about it.
But she was like, what we can do is you can just come to me at the beginning of each week and let me know if you need to stay for that week, and I will just charge you for that week. And it was beautiful. I wrote a check for each week. You know, it was broken down. You know, this is what we need another week. And I think we ended up staying for an additional. It ended up, I think, being a full another month. But yeah, it did end up working out. All of the timing ended up working out. We ended up moving in, and everything. You know, we loved the spot.
Oh yeah,
it's perfect. But yeah, that time period where it was like, I don't know what we're gonna do if we get kicked out of our spot. We did have you know, where we did have your parents who lived kind of close, but still it would have been difficult to make that work. So we really didn't know what we were about to do. So that was pretty stressful. But like I said, it ended up working out. And here we are.
Yep. And the silver lining there is, I think we had way more time to pack up our stuff, to
Yeah.
clean, to do furniture shopping. Like we had time to really set it up to where if we would have been ready right after our honeymoon, that would have been kind of stressful to have to pack up the whole house right after getting back from the honeymoon.
Right.
So I think everything happens for a reason personally, right? So again, those are two examples. We're about to get into the meat of the podcast now, but before we start talking about how to manage stress, like we wanted to show y'all like we actively manage our stress as well, not always 100% successfully, but we do have examples of ways that we've been able to go through those valleys and get to the other mountain and then get to the next valley and then go to the next mountain, right? It's a nice kind of cycle. But Queen, you do a great job at breaking down what stress comes from, right? And I feel like you've probably mentioned this on a different podcast, but can you talk about the original, I guess, primitive
idea.
form of idea of stress?
Yeah. So when we talk about stress, what it looks like now is very different than what it was. What it is kind of what our bodies were intended to go through. You know, back when we had to go hunt for our food, when we didn't have, you know, as civilized of, I don't know what to call them today, but you know, we industrialized society. So your stress response, everything that your body does when it experiences stress, is meant to keep you safe, right? It is meant for the different things that happen are like your heart rate increases, you start sweating, your blood pressure increases, your adrenaline starts going, and the purpose of that is that in situations of danger. So let's say in, you know, again, you're hunting for your food, trying to gather food for your family, and you see
a bear.
Aww.
Lovely.
So you see a bear, right? Your body, without you, at the minute your body senses that there is danger, instantly it goes into that fight or flight mode. That's what it's called. So fight means you're going to stand your ground and you're going to, I mean, you really don't fight a bear, but
hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, the bear can take this.
Get these hands.
Yeah, bear can get these hands. What's popping?
No. But fight, which means this is a situation where I'm going to stay, I'm going to stand my ground, I'm going to scrap for my life. That's one option. Or flight, which means I'm going to get the heck up out of there. Okay, so those are kind of that's why it's called fight or flight. Your body goes into that instantly. And again, all those different things happen so that you can, and there are other things that happen too. Your digestion slows because it basically, I get excited when I talk about things.
Yes, you do.
The health nerd in me. Basically, what your body is doing is taking all of the energy that it's expending in different places and directing it towards getting your butt to safety. So that's why your heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases, all things that are necessary for you to be able to quickly move or to punch the bear, whatever you're going to do in that situation. But those types of things, like your body's not going to be worried about digesting your food if you need to fight for your life. So that's why your digestion slows. We'll get to why that's, you know, an important part of stress response. If you're in chronic stress mode, all of these things are happening all the time, and that's not good because it lessens your body's ability to activate that mode when it's necessary. But it's not good to have increased heart rate all the time, right? It's not good to have elevated blood pressure all of the time. So that's why one, how you perceive stress is
Mhm.
important, because not all of the situations warrant that response. If you drop your phone and the screen cracks, does it really warrant that response? Probably not. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
probably not. But it happens regardless, right? So it's all about the perception of stress.
That was a beautiful explanation, Quinn.
Thank you.
Well done. So the issue with 2021 is that most of us aren't running into bears like that.
Right.
And most of us aren't running into tigers, lions, sharks, but there's other modern stresses that we are coming across that we're seeing it and we're like, dang, that's a shark. When it's not a shark, right? It's a you're 5 minutes late for a meeting, Devon. Relax. It's not a shark. So we're gonna go through some modern day stresses right now, and y'all can let us know how you respond to some of these modern day stresses. I know how I respond to some of them, but again, knowing what are some of your triggers will, I think, allow you to mediate how you're responding to those as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and show some of these modern day triggers or modern day perceptions of stress. Biggest one in marriages, and I think probably in individual life, is the lack of finances.
That's a big one.
Huge one. Money is new. Like,
right.
in the sense of being a human, in the sense of our human genome, money, like fiat currency, has not been around that long, right? So it's interesting that to our core, our heart, we are just so stressed, and we are almost deathly stressed around how much money we have or how much money we think we should have, right? Queen, I don't know if you want to do another one. I have one that I definitely want to talk about. I want to talk about public perception.
Okay. You and
Cool.
Go for it.
Cool. Thanks, Queen. Another huge one that I think is on there is public perception. And I think I struggle with this graduating from college. Like, dang, okay, the Queen has a job. She's employed. What are her parents gonna think if she's dating someone who's unemployed? Right? What's the world gonna think? What's the Queen gonna think if I don't have a job? Is she still gonna date me? What are all these things going on? Right? So the public perception. Instagram.
Yeah.
Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff. Like, we get sometimes stressed about how many likes we're getting, what comments they put on my Instagram. Oh, why'd you post that picture, Devon? Your hair looks terrible. Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed now. I don't care that much, actually, but that was just a good example on people who can comment, and then all of a sudden now you're stressed, or you're having a awkward or negative reaction to something on social media, which literally has no impact on your like life.
Right.
For the social media influencers, I can see how that can impact your money, but again, it has no impact on your quality of life.
Yep. Someone messaged me one time saying that I had braids in, and they were like, "Oh, you need to get your hair redone. Like, your hair is looking bumpy." And I'm like, I really was like, shoot. Well, I started looking at appointments. Like, damn, I need to go.
No.
I need to go get my hair done. But it's like, I was fine. I was perfectly fine with how my braids looked. I didn't even. It didn't even register as a stressor or something that I was worried about until this random person, stranger that I don't even know, said this comment. And it's like, that should not have even affected my life at all. But here we are.
Here we are. If we can show the next, not the next one, but back to the modern stressors.
Time.
Go ahead. Time. You want to talk about it, Queen?
Time, I think, is a big one too, because it's finite, and I think because it's finite, we're always thinking we don't have enough, right? But is also, I think the other part of it is that I think we put like artificial timelines on ourselves that put that stress. So I'm supposed to be married by this age. I'm supposed to have kids by this age. I'm supposed to have a job at this age. Like different things that are milestones, markers or whatever. That, I mean, all it is comparing yourself to others and how the norm, the social norm. And I think that it, again, it's really, it's that comparison that brings the stress. It's, well, I'm in this situation, but compared to where everybody else is at this time, I should be here and I'm not there. So I feel like it's a very interesting thing. Once you take that expectation off that I need to compare myself to others and I need to be doing this because this is the norm, that I think the stress about time, it doesn't go away, but I think it definitely lessens.
Sure.
If I'm not worried about what age I'm supposed to be married, if I'm not worried about what age I'm supposed to have kids, all that stuff, then I can just live my life and do what I want. You know what I'm saying? So I think that time is an interesting one. But I mean, like deadlines, all of those things, once you, those all can cause stress, right? I'm supposed to be for a job, or you have a deadline for a project you're supposed to meet, that can bring stress. So I think there's a lot of different ways that time can be a stressor, but nonetheless, I think that because again, it is finite. I think that's part of what makes time so stressful for a lot of folks.
And I think this goes into the last one, which is personal goals. I think personal, all right? So I think when I look at some people on social media, or I even look at some of my virtual mentors and entrepreneurship mentors, I do compare my journey to their journey. And I feel like recently I've gotten better at it, because when you look at a Dame Dash, when you look at a Nipsey Hussle, when you look at Jay-Z, when you look at all these amazing entrepreneurs who are doing big things, we see them and they look young, right? Or even like a Kevin Hart, like they look young, and you're like, dang,
they say,
you know what I'm saying? Black don't crack that melon and be holding up. But they look so young, and it's like, I'm young, they look young. Why don't I have the success that they have? But then when you start learning how old people really are, like they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s. They got like 10 years in the game, 20 years in the game, and you're trying to achieve something that you haven't put in the work in yet, right? You're trying to be like someone who's 50 years old and you're 23.
Right.
So I feel like that's also how I've gotten a little bit better at managing my stress, because I'm like, look, Nipsey was 30, 33 doing all this great stuff. You got 5-6 years to find.
Right.
You good. Pace yourself.
Right.
But personal goals, as the queen knows, is something that definitely I still need to work on a little bit, because I'm just like, I need it done by this time.
Yes.
To your point. But it's not life threatening, right? If the Masterpiece Edition comes out 1 month later than what it was supposed to be, I'll still be okay, right? But before I was stressing about it. The reason why we want to bring this up, and we're gonna get into reactions in a second on like how do you manage stress, ways that you react. But the reason why it's important is because if you're 20 something years old and you're stressing about time, you're stressing about job, you're stressing about public perception, your chronic heart rate, as the queen said, is going to be elevated. Your blood pressure is going to be up. Your cortisol levels are going to be up. All of these things, all of these negative health markers are going to rise in you.
What's cortisol?
Cortisol is a hormone. It's a stress hormone that gets released, right? Come on now. I'll be listening to the Truvel Forever podcast. You know what I'm saying? I'll be in here, man. Oh, but like as these negative kind of reactions to stress, to life-threatening stress happen in your body, literally your life expectancy goes down. You can only have high blood pressure for so long. Your heart rate can only pump like at X BPMs for so long. You can only have so much cortisol in your blood cells, in your veins, arteries. There you go. I got the words just looking at you. Before plaque starts building up, right? So the sooner you're able to learn how to manage even those micro stresses, that can add just a little bit of time to your life, right? Add a little bit of quality to your life as well. And those little incremental steps can make a big difference when you look at 50 years, 60 years, 70 years.
And as I mentioned before, right, the point of that fight or flight mode is to reallocate the energy that's going into, producing new cells, that's going into digesting your food, that's going into all of these other things, and distributing it into raising that blood pressure, into raising your heart rate, into all of those things, into raising your cortisol levels. And if you're constantly under that stress, all of those other things that need attention are never going to get the attention that they need.
Right.
So, right, if you're dealing with, digestive issues, is probably because, or one of the reasons that it could be, is because your body is not able to take that, that energy, and once you kind of lower your stress level again, once you trigger that parasympathetic nervous system, that's like the brakes, right? Adrenaline's like the gas pedal. That parasympathetic nervous system is the brakes.
You already know my gas pedal.
Shout out to Bird.
Shout out Bird, man. Oh, my bad.
No. But yeah, once you are able to kind of basically let the body know that it's safe. It's safe now to lower that heart rate. It's safe now to lower the blood pressure. It's safe now to put all of the attention back to digesting the food I just ate, right? If you're not able to do that, then you're going to have digestive issues. You're going to have liver problems. You're going to have all of these, issues that come up because of stress. You would be surprised how many doctor's visits are stress related. I think it's something like, I think half. I think half.
I'll believe you.
I think half, if not more, of the doctor's visits that people seek out medical attention are for stress-related issues. So that just shows you how prevalent it is.
Gotcha. Yeah. So don't stress, y'all. We're gonna get into the next section now on kind of how you can see or start to assess how you actually react to stress. So I think step one is what are the things that are stressing me out? Right? Is it my job? Is it my kids? Is it my partner? No, it's not, Queen. You never stress me out. Sometimes you do.
It's like, that's a lie.
Sometimes you do. You know what I'm talking about? We're gonna keep it 100. Is it the time? This is your goals. Figure out what is stressing you out. That's number one. Number two is how do you react when you are stressed? Right. And I believe we have a slide on that, on like ways that you are coping with stress. And sometimes it's not the best way of coping. Right. But I'll give an example of how I do it. This is a positive list. We're going to go to the positive list. And we'll do the positive list first. All right. So modern perception of stress. These are things that you can do to really at least work for me. And Queen, you let me know what works for you to kind of manage this stress a little bit. Number one is have a to-do list. Right. So for me, sometimes I have a lot of different things that I need to do. I need to post for Play Black Wall Street. I need to edit the audio for Truvel Forever. I need to email this person. And when it's just all stuck in my head, it seems very chaotic and stressful. And I think the most stressful thing is, what if I forget to do something? Right. So I heard this somewhere else, but it was, don't trust your brain. Right. It's basically something like, don't trust your brain. If you have something important that you need to do, write it down, whether it's writing down on a piece of paper. Now I use Google Keep. I do my morning kind of affirmations to-do list as well, written. Sometimes I'll use Google Assistant and say, hey, I'm not going to say it because, they be listening all the time. But remind me at X o'clock to do this. That way I get reminders all the time. So now forgetting things isn't as stressful because I have so many different tools of remembering them. Number two on why to-do lists.
Oh, sorry. No.
Number two, why to-do lists help me is because the action of checking things off releases a little bit of dopamine for your boy. Right? Like when I'm able to be like, I did that. Go to the next one. All right, I did that. Or if I'm sitting down, I feel frustrated, like, dang, what can I get done? I go to the list. What can I get done in 10 minutes? Boom, I did that. And every time I check something off, I don't know, even just thinking about checking something off, I'm just like, you know what? I'm getting some stuff done.
Yeah.
I'm making some moves. I'm climbing this mountain. Right? Go ahead, Queen.
I was just going to say another reason, I don't know if you already touched on it, but another reason why I think to-do list helpful for me is that getting all of the things that are in my brain, if it's a to-do list is like an organized way of looking at something, right? It's like this, then this, then this, even if it's not sequential, but it's like an organized way. If it's not organized on paper, then it's like a million thoughts moving a million miles per hour in my head. And that can just feel so overwhelming. Yep. I think to-do lists, and this is something pretty much every time that I come and I say, babe, I'm stressed about this. What do I do? That's usually one of his first things is he says, make a to-do list. And it's usually very helpful because again, it's just, if it's in my brain, then it feels like a lot, right? But when you put it on paper, it automatically looks more manageable. It's like,
that's it.
Okay, I could do this. Right. In my brain, it feels like there's way too much to be done in this amount of time. As soon as you put it on paper, it's like, well, okay, well, I'll do that tomorrow, and then I'll do that the next day, and then and then look, it gets done. So I think that's another way. It organizes it because unless your brain can make a to-do list in your head, more power to you. But mine cannot, and it just helps.
Number two for me is exercise,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I get really, really stressed, I feel like my natural thing to do is nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? My natural thing to do is like, let me just sit down, let me watch some TV. And what I'm also realizing, and I don't know if we have time to dive into this, maybe we'll do a different episode, but I feel like TV for me is good because it's a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, whether it's YouTube, whether it's actual TV, it's a distraction. I used to think that I can multitask. I can do some emails, I can edit and watch TV at the same time. And the queen was been saying, you can't multitask, Devon. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I can multitask. But truthfully, I feel like when I have something that I'm watching, that I'm not getting work done. And I get more and more stressed because I'm not making the progress that I really can make.
Mm-hmm.
So now I only watch TV to distract myself. Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing nothing and I don't want to think about nothing, I'll put on TV. So for this hour, like, or for this 30 minutes when I do lunch, or for this hour when the queens come home and we're eating dinner, I'm locked into this TV. I'm not thinking about anything else. But when I actually need to do stuff, I can't be watching stuff, even if it's quote unquote educational. But I say that to say exercise is another one of those semi distractions.
Mm-hmm.
But when I exercise, I do feel good. And good ideas come to my head when I exercise. Whenever I get into a good rhythm of waking up on time, doing my yoga, going on my run, I always feel great. I'm always writing down my goals, writing down my to do list, and I just get more things done.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm not working out, I tend to also be more stressed and get less things done.
Yeah.
Right. So find your groove. I actually did a I'll share it after you share, but I did this Google Keep that comes on like every 2 days that says you will be successful if you, and there's like 5 things on there that I need to do in order to be successful. I'll share it after we do the next one.
Okay. You know what's interesting about exercise is when you think about it from the physiological aspect, exercise is actually a stressor. Right? It's a physical stressor. You're literally putting your body through stress. That's what exercise is.
Mm.
But I think the reason why it can be used as a tool, if it's not overdone, why it can be used as a tool for stress management is because it's what you said. It's hard to exercise, and for certain exercise, but you can run and walk and do other things. But for a lot of things, it's hard to be stressing about money when you're lifting weights, right? Because I need to be focused on lifting this heavy bar, right? Or whatever it is. Or when you're doing abs, I'm focused on my abs burning when I'm doing this exercise or whatever. I'm not thinking about the other things. And that's that brief period of time when you're not thinking about the other stress is what I think helps a lot of people feel better. It's like, okay, for this hour, I'm not thinking about money. I'm not thinking about that relationship. I'm not thinking about my job. And that's why afterwards you're like,
yeah,
that feels good. Because again, you've just given yourself that time to not think about it.
Yeah. It's a great point. I didn't think about that. So here's my reminder, and it fired 2 days ago, and it will come again in 2 more days. But my success is guaranteed if I wake up before 6:30 a.m., work out or stretch daily, believe in my brilliance and greatness, stop judging others and myself, and stay consistent.
Those are good.
Thanks, Queen. So yeah, this one is fire at what time? 8 a.m. in the morning. So after my workout, boom, this will pop up, and I'll just go ahead and read this out loud. My success is guaranteed if I wake up before 6:30, work out and stretch daily, believe in my brilliance and greatness, stop judging others and myself, and stay consistent. Boom.
Let's do that.
Hey, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving free game. Y'all can use it. Y'all cannot use it. I'm just trying to make sure I do my part. You know what I'm saying? Share. You feel me? And then I think we might have like two more. We won't go into too many details because we're starting to lose light, and y'all know my melanin needs light in order to really pop out here in the streets. But our last two ways that y'all can be managing stress. Queen, would you like to? I know you like this one.
I do like breathing. So breathing
I like breathing too, by the way, but I think we all like breathing.
So breathing is a very, very effective tool at stress management. One, because everybody can do it. You can do it anywhere. You can do it anytime. But two, as I was saying earlier, it again allows if you're focusing on your breathing, and again allows your brain to stop thinking about what you're stressing about for a little bit, even if it's just for 5 minutes. It can be so effective. And so if you have heard of, or if you haven't heard of box breaths, you can Google that. But basically, it is breathing in for a set amount of time. If it's your first time, try 4 seconds so you don't hyperventilate. But you breathe in for 4 seconds, and you want to focus on breathing in your abdominal. So when you are stressed, especially again in that fight or flight mode, your breathing's really shallow. It's all up here. It's in your chest, right? But that abdominal breathing is basically like you should physically feel and see your abdominal protrude out, right, and fill it with air and then release it. That it triggers something different. It triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what I mentioned earlier. That's what allows your body to say it's safe. You can relax. You can lower that heart rate. You can lower that blood pressure. We are safe. It's all good. So again, you breathe in for 4 seconds into the abdominal. You hold for 4 seconds. You release nice and slow for 4 seconds. And then you hold again at the bottom for 4 seconds. So that's why they're called box breaths. It's got the 4 parts to it. If you do that for just 5 minutes a day, and again, it takes practice to really get that effect. But if you do that for 5 minutes in the morning, that feeling afterwards, I call it like my zen. You get into that mode where it's like, it really doesn't. What is life like? It really doesn't matter what could happen right now. Like, I'm so calm, I'm so chill, and it's very effective to do at the beginning of the day. Because if you start your day out like that, when you get into the office and so says something about your hair, you're not about to pop off on nobody, and you can just be like, thanks.
Do I gotta pull up? Do I gotta pull up?
No, that was nobody says anything about my hair. That was literally just an example. I'm sure somebody out there is dealing with that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, somebody. But or that person. This I do deal with. That person cuts you off in traffic. I have. My name is Sinclair, and I have road rage.
Hi, Sinclair.
So it's very effective for me on my way to work, so I don't have to deal with the idiots that are out there, cutting me off or whatever. I'm just like, they had somewhere to be. And that's that. It's very effective. Yep. Very effective tool.
Who taught you that? Not the box breath, the calm down when people cut you off.
You did.
Ooh, she be getting hot. Oh, all right. So action items, right? Or a little bit of a summary. Number 1, identify what is stressing you out.
Yeah.
Right. And like the queen said, you may perceive these things as bears, as sharks, as lions, something that's completely dangerous and life-threatening to your life. It's important, right? Your emotions, your reactions are valid, but we do want you to understand it's probably not that deep. And if you take a second to realize and really think, okay, where is this going to lead me? Right? Maybe I'm going through this path for a reason, and this is the right way to get to my mountain. So number 1, what is stressing you out? All right. Number 2, identify how do you typically react to stress, whether that's consciously or subconsciously. Some of us, we order a certain meal when we're stressed, right? Some of us eat a certain flavor of ice cream when we're stressed. Some of us may twirl a certain drink, you know what I'm saying, with one ice cube in it when we're stressed. What are your conscious or subconscious reactions to stress, and do they help you? That's the key. That's the key right there. Is your natural reaction actually helpful to get you out of that valley? Right. So after you do those first 2 things, number 3 is.
Hold on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to just talk about that last one. The one you just said real quick. Because if we're talking about if your natural reaction, which I'm jealous of you, first of all, let me start with that. If your natural reaction when you're stressed is to get your running shoes on and go for a run,
fire.
If that's not right now, if you're running for an obscene amount of time and your body's breaking down, you're trying to run a marathon, that's different, right? That's maybe an addiction you need to deal with. But if you're just going for a little 20-minute run to clear your head, you probably don't need to change that. That's probably serving you well. It's good for you. It's a healthy way to cope with stress. So, not every coping mechanism is bad.
Great point. And then to the third point is find a positive coping mechanism, right? So if your step 2, if your natural reaction maybe isn't as healthy as you would want it to be, and it's not pushing you towards the direction, figure out how you can, get a new system, whether it's your phone reminds you, this is what you need to do to be successful. Whether you put your running shoes on, you go for a run, whether you call a friend and you talk out loud about what's stressing you out. Sometimes it's just getting the emotions out of your body, out of your mind, and that can be helpful as well. But find that healthy way of coping.
Yeah.
Cool. Queen, anything you want to sprinkle on that before we do a nice how was our week? A brief how was our week?
I think just like if you're wondering like if is this coping mechanism serving me or not, I think the important thing is how do you feel afterwards?
Mm.
Do you feel better or do you feel worse? And then when I say afterwards, I'm talking like long term, right? Because immediate gratification is tricky. It tricks your mind, right? Because you eat the ice cream and you're like, oh, this ice cream is so good. Ooh, yep, right. But are you really when the tub is gone?
When the tub is gone.
When the tub is
Oh
gone,
no.
now how do you feel? Right? If you feel guilty, probably not the right coping mechanism. You should find one that doesn't make you feel guilty afterwards, right? If you feel guilty or if your stomach is upset and you're on the toilet, that's your body telling you this ain't it. That's your body telling you need to find another one. So I think just really like pay attention to your body, not in the moment, right? In the moment is different. Of course that margarita gonna taste real good when you're drinking it
all the time.
But 5 later, are you still happy? Don't judge us margaritas lovers.
5 later, yes, you are happy. You
true. Okay, I should say the next morning. How do you feel?
Yeah, that's a different answer, right? Yeah. Oh, so we appreciate y'all. Definitely make sure you assess your stress. Assess your stress. Don't make a mess.
Hey.
We only want the best.
Hey.
Hey. Assess
your stress. Don't make a mess. We only want the best. Hey.
All right, let's get back. So Queen, real briefly, because we're losing light. Your week in like a minute to 2 minutes. How you doing? Any highlights you want to share with the folks?
My week was pretty good. As we already talked about, the week prior was a low point for me. So I made it a point this week to do things that would make me feel better. So I did exercise for the first couple of days. Now I'm not gonna lie to you. It's one thing or another. Okay, so real quick, I injured myself. How, you ask? I have no idea. I literally have no idea.
Every day she's struggling.
I guess this is getting old. I just woke up, was hurt. I worked out. I thought nothing of it. I'm like, it'll be fine. I worked out, did some squats with weight, and just messed my groin area all up. So unfortunately, that inhibited me to be able to do much for the rest of the week. But the other thing that I wanted to pay a lot of attention to is I know my coping mechanism is eating. I love to, and it honestly depends on the situation, because there are some situations if I'm actively very stressed or nervous for like a performance or a test or something like that, I actually don't eat. I'm usually starving myself then, because I just lose my appetite altogether. But
that's how I was when I was about to propose to you.
Yes, you did. That's when I knew something was up, because that plate was sitting there and I was like, he's not eating. But long story short, I made sure that this week I ate healthy. So my natural inclination is to go to the unhealthy foods, because again, I want that instant gratification of, this burger, fries. That's usually not what I'm getting, but these fish and chips, these are hitting right now. But then afterwards, I'm like, you didn't need to eat that. You would have felt a lot better if you had a salad. So I made a point this week not to give in to those cravings, and I feel really good about it. I went back to my meditation. I had fallen off, and I see now how that trickles down into the low point, right? I see how that can now have been a factor into how I was feeling the week prior. So I made it a point, even for just 3 minutes, I did go back to my breathing and my meditation, and it has helped wonders. So my week was pretty good, and I'm on my way back up. I see the mountain up there. I'm not up there yet, but I do see it.
And today you did what?
Oh, potluck? Oh, yeah. And today we went and we filmed a couple of videos. So we filmed some testimonial videos from our chefs, and then we filmed a couple testimonial videos for the foodies. And I can't lie, that filled my cup.
I know.
It did. it was really nice to, and I was just a spectator, so I got to just see, but it was really nice to hear people. And it wasn't scripted or anything like that. They're just asking, our videographers asked questions and everybody answered really honestly. So it was really nice to sit there and hear, from the chef point of view, how what we're doing is positively impacting people's lives, is fulfilling lifelong dreams. Like, yeah, it's really humbling and really makes me feel good. And then even from the foodie point of view, the fact that we're providing people food that they are raving about, and they're really excited about it. They're saying it's convenient. Provides them another option for home cooked meals. It filled my cup, and it really just kind of solidified, like, you doing the right thing, keep going. The potluck was a part of my low, and not going exactly how I wanted it. So I think that it was really nice to go through that, and I think it'll help me continue to make my trek up the mountain.
That's right. Proud you ever make it past the valley, babe. Well
Thanks,
done. Keep it up. Keep it
Thanks.
up. I think something that's very important is we look at our lives from our point of view, and sometimes we can have the horse racers on. We can't see what everything else is happening, and we're looking at time right now. When we take a step back or even get someone else's perspective, people are like, "Oh no, you're doing great."
Right.
Right. So sometimes we got to take that step back, remove ourselves, get the positive affirmations from other people, and we're good to go. Speaking of which, myself, Masterpiece Edition of Black Wall Street, the board game, is available for pre-order. Definitely have been stressing about that, but it's here. It's beautiful. It's an amazing work of art. Not as beautiful as the Queen. Not, I'm saying, not a work of art like the Queen is, but it's up there. All right, it's up there. Another thing that we're very excited about is this week we're also traveling to Tulsa. So if you're watching this live, you already know we're going to be in Tulsa very soon. If you're watching this on replay, we've probably already been to Tulsa and already came back. But that's just a dope experience to make a board game about a culture, about an experience, and then being able to walk those streets, learn even more history that we don't know about Tulsa or Greenwood. So I'm very, very nerd excited about that. Another thing that was cool was even there, and shout out to Back to Back Cinema. They're the people that did the videography for Potluck. But they were like in the background, like listening to all the stuff that we had, the podcast, the board game. Obviously, they know about Potluck, and they're just like, man, y'all doing it. Like we really look up to y'all, which is dope because they're a power couple in their own right. They have their own business and they're doing their thing. So it's always good to get a little bit of love, right? A little bit of affirmations from other people in the business sector. So that definitely, filled my cup while we were over there too.
Oh, look at it. We left with full cups.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Of water, of gold water.
There you go.
Yeah, of dream elixir, actually. Ooh. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. So if you're watching this again,
before you close it up, I wanted to add just one more thing that can help you get out of the valley, because he just reminded me of it, and he's also mine. So you need to find somebody who is going to challenge you, challenge your viewpoint when you're in the valley, because that's important. Because like he just mentioned, when it's your life and it's your situation, it's your valley, it's hard to look outside of yourself and realize that this is, maybe not as big as it may seem in the moment. And if you think about your most stressful moment, if you think back to it, in the grand scheme of everything that's happened in your life, how big of a deal was it really, right? So, and again, in the moment, it's hard to think about that. But if you get a person, someone else that can kind of help you through that and help you realize that in the moment, that's the person you need to go to when you're in those valleys. You don't want to go to someone who's going to kind of further solidify, I guess, right? You don't want to go to someone who's gonna be like, oh my gosh, they did what? That's so terrible. How can you? I don't even know how you're doing this right now. Like, oh my, no, that's, again, it may make you feel good in the moment, right? But afterwards, are you any less in the valley, right? Are you any more likely to see a mountain? Are you feel any better about the situation? And if not, then maybe that's not the right person for you to vent to. So find someone who's going to challenge you and be like, is that really the, is this, I'm trying to think of, you're really good at asking questions. I'm trying to think of like what question you always ask me.
So the question, and you were like very stressed out
Yeah.
about real estate Chicago,
Yeah.
right? And you were like, it's taking so long, and I was like, well, how long should it take?
Yeah.
And you was like, I don't know, it should be faster. I was like, well, have you ever done this before? And then you were like, no, I've never. Well, has anyone in your family ever done this before? Well, well, no. Like, so you're trying to do something in a certain amount of time that literally you've never done ever in your life, and no one you know has done it. So it's like, just it's gonna happen, and when it
Right.
happens, you're gonna be the first to ever do it in your family, and then now you're going to know how long it takes to expect. So it's like, yeah, you're expecting someone to. Yeah, it was a good moment when it
So
happened.
get you someone who's going to ask those types of questions because it does challenge you. It doesn't always feel good to answer those in the moment because it's like, God, I just want to be mad. I want to be upset. Come on. But well, you find somebody who's going to help pull you out of that, right? Help challenge you. Like, is it really that, I don't want to say that big of a deal because sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And it can, again, that person can help you realize that.
I think that's gonna be my new technique. I'm not gonna try to solve any problems. I'm growing. I'm trying to grow out of that.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm just gonna ask questions.
Yeah.
And I remember even in the moment, I was like, I'm just asking questions.
Yes, you did.
I'm just asking questions, y'all. All right. Well, thank y'all again for tuning in to another amazing, stress-free, and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, humble and blessed creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka
The Health Nerd. We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.